The mind of the untouchable. There is a reason the world remembers certain minds long after their bodies are gone. Machiavelli, Da Vinci, Napoleon, Sun Tzu, men who thought in angles the rest of the world couldn't see. They didn't just possess intelligence. They possessed powerful intelligence, the kind sharpened by strategy, self-control, and an almost brutal clarity about human nature. Genius alone doesn't make someone untouchable. Plenty of smart people are ignored, forgotten, or crushed by environments that reward conformity. What separates the untouchable few is that they combine intellect with strategy, knowledge with influence, brilliance with ruthlessness. These 7 laws are the quiet architecture behind every extraordinary mind. Learn them, practice them, and you rise above the noise. Ignore them, and like everyone else, you'll drown in it. So sit down. This is Machiavelli's power code, the laws that keep geniuses untouchable. Law 1. Protect your thinking time, like royalty guards a throne. Expanded version. A true genius is not measured by the size of their knowledge, but by the purity of their thoughts. Thoughts sharpened in silence, strengthened in solitude, and protected from the endless noise that consumes ordinary minds. The average person lives in a constant state of mental interruption. Their attention is hijacked by every vibration of the phone, every trending distraction, every opinion louder than their own inner voice. They drown in a sea of reaction, never noticing how little original thinking they actually do. But the genius knows a secret. Your mind is a kingdom, and every kingdom rises or falls, depending on how well its throne is protected. This is why Machiavelli removed himself from the world every evening. He changed his garments, stepped into a private room, and entered what he called his ancient courts, the realm of history's greatest thinkers. There, in the safety of quiet, he consulted with minds far superior to the society he lived among. He understood that the world outside his door was too chaotic, too emotional, too shallow to produce the clarity required for greatness. So he built his own sanctuary of focus. Today, this sanctuary is more necessary than ever. People are overwhelmed by stimuli, endless scrolling, mindless conversations, trivial conflicts. Their attention is scattered into 1,000 pieces, leaving them incapable of deep thought. They fill their days with noise and wonder why they cannot hear their own ideas. A genius sees this trap clearly. They know that if they do not actively guard their mind, the world will invade it, colonize it, and distract it until it becomes useless. So they defend their thinking time like royalty defends a throne. They establish boundaries that the undisciplined cannot understand. They turn off notifications. They avoid people who thrive on chaos. They build rituals around quiet. They schedule deliberate moments of isolation, the way others schedule entertainment. And in that isolation, they think, slowly, deeply, deliberately. They replay decisions, analyze patterns, anticipate outcomes. They connect ideas the way architects connect angles, building structures no one else can see. This is why their judgments seem so effortless, why their insights appear almost prophetic. They are operating from a mind that has been purified by silence, a mind that is not pulled in every direction, a mind that is fortified against manipulation, gossip, emotional noise, and the dysfunction of the crowd. Genius does not erupt from chaos. Genius is forged in quiet rooms where the mind finally has the space to become powerful. 2. Say less, observe more.
The silent advantage. A person's intelligence is never revealed by how loudly they speak, but by how much they withhold. The fool cannot bear silence. He fills every gap with noise because he believes sound equals significance. He speaks to impress, to be acknowledged, to feel relevant. But the genius knows that every unnecessary word is a strategic loss. Silence is not emptiness. It is leverage. It is control. It is a weapon that cuts without ever being drawn. Machiavelli warned rulers to guard their speech with the same vigilance they guard their throne. The moment you speak, you disclose more than you intend, your desires, your fears, the limits of your understanding. Words are windows into your mind, and the genius refuses to leave those windows open for others to peer through. Instead, they step into every room like a shadow, present but unreadable. They observe the behavior, the tones, the micro-expressions that ordinary minds overlook. They listen as people expose themselves through their own lack of restraint. Because most people cannot resist the urge to talk, they reveal their insecurities in casual jokes. They reveal their ambitions in bragging. They reveal their alliances through who they defend, and their fears through who they avoid. They reveal their intelligence, or lack thereof, by how quickly they react and how deeply they think. And the genius, standing silent, collects all of this. Their quiet is not passive, it is strategic surveillance. It is the gathering of data that others spill without realizing the cost. A genius understands that power comes not from being heard, but from knowing more than anyone in the room. While everyone else speaks impulsively, seeking attention or validation, the genius constructs a private map of the people around them. Who is weak? Who is observing? Who is pretending? Who is easily provoked? Who is secretly threatened by them? Who can be used? Who must be avoided? And who should never be underestimated? This silent assessment gives them an advantage so sharp it feels unfair. And when the genius finally does speak, the entire room shifts. People lean in. They listen. They measure every word because they know those words are deliberate, rare, considered. The power of their voice does not come from volume. It comes from scarcity. The less they say, the more force those few words carry when they choose to release them. Silence in the hands of a fool is awkward, but in the hands of a genius, silence is dominance. 3. Master the game you're in, not the game you wish existed. The greatest difference between the ordinary mind and the genius is not intelligence, it is perception. Most people walk through life with a childlike belief that the world should operate a certain way, that people should be honest, that fairness should prevail, that effort should be rewarded. And when reality violates these fantasies, they become frustrated, confused, and defeated. They cling to idealistic visions of how life ought to be, while the world continues operating under rules they refuse to see.
But the genius does not indulge in such illusions. He does not negotiate with fantasy. He studies reality as it is, raw, unsentimental, unapologetic. Machiavelli warned that the distance between how people live and how they ought to live is so vast that anyone who builds their life on ideals rather than truths invites their own destruction. And the genius takes this as law. They know the world is not designed for fairness. It is designed for function. It rewards strength, strategy, and adaptability long before it rewards morality, hope, or good intentions. So the genius begins with observation. They analyze the real power structures around them. Who influences decisions? Who hides behind alliances? Who controls resources? Who acts from fear? Who acts from confidence? They dissect social dynamics, emotional incentives, political motivations, and psychological vulnerabilities. They see patterns where others see coincidences. They see leverage where others see obstacles. They see advantages where others see injustice. They do not complain about the rules, they use them. They do not wait for fairness, they anticipate unfairness. They do not curse the game, they master it. While ordinary minds waste energy resenting the world for failing to meet their expectations, the genius quietly adjusts. They pivot their strategy, change their approach, and manipulate their environment to maximize advantage. They realize that the people who succeed are not the ones who demand fairness. They are the ones who exploit reality exactly as it is presented. And so when others cry out, "It's not fair," the genius is already 10 steps ahead, turning that unfairness into an opening, a strategy, a pathway to advancement. They make moves that the idealistic cannot comprehend because they operate based on truth, not wishful thinking. This is why geniuses rise where others stagnate. They are not playing the imaginary game everyone else is trapped in. They are playing the real one, masterfully, ruthlessly, and with absolute clarity. 4. Never chase, never beg, never compete directly. Expanded version. A genius becomes untouchable not by force, but by positioning. They understand that the moment you chase, you place yourself beneath the thing you pursue. The moment you beg, you declare yourself powerless. The moment you compete directly, you expose yourself to comparison, scrutiny, and unnecessary risk. Ordinary people rush forward. They try to convince, to impress, to win approval. But a genius knows that the one who moves first often moves from weakness. The one who waits strategically moves from power. Machiavelli taught that the true ruler is the one who forces others to react, not the one who drowns in reaction. Geniuses take this principle as a foundation of their lives. They build themselves into such valuable, unignorable figures that the world naturally gravitates toward them. They understand that people instinctively desire what is scarce, not what is desperate. And so they become scarce on purpose.
They do not chase attention. They cultivate presence. They do not beg for opportunities. They engineer environments where opportunities seek them out. They do not push themselves into rooms. They elevate their value until the rooms open naturally. When a genius senses that their presence is undervalued, they withdraw instantly. They understand that scarcity creates demand, and distance creates desire. By stepping away, they increase their worth without saying a single word. Ordinary minds misinterpret this as passivity or indifference, but it is calculated psychology. The genius knows that while others flood the world with noise, the rare one becomes a magnet. And when it comes to competition, geniuses refuse to engage on equal footing. They do not enter battles that drain energy, reputation, or vision. A king does not wrestle peasants to prove he is strong. A lion does not challenge wolves to prove he is dangerous. The genius changes the environment, the angle, the timing, until the battle is no longer a battle, but an inevitability. While others compete head-on, geniuses create asymmetry. They build advantages invisibly. They network behind the scenes. They acquire knowledge others don't know to seek. By the time rivals realize the game has begun, the genius has already won. They make rivals chase shadows, illusions, rumors of their next move, never their actual position. This is why geniuses often appear effortless. The world labels them naturally gifted, mysteriously lucky, or untouchably intelligent. But their power lies in refusing to enter the arena where ordinary people bleed each other dry. They do not fight for scraps. They rise to a level where scraps no longer exist. The great irony is this: the more fiercely a genius protects their distance, the more the world tries to pull them closer. The less they chase, the more they are chased. The less they beg, the more they are offered. The less they compete, the more they win. Geniuses do not become untouchable by doing more. They become untouchable by refusing to step into roles that diminish their power. 5. Control your emotions, or someone else will control you. Expanded version. Intelligence without emotional discipline is like a sharp blade in the hands of a child, dangerous, uncontrolled, and ultimately self-defeating. The most brilliant mind can be undone by a single outburst, a flash of anger, a moment of envy, or a need to prove itself. Human beings are emotional creatures, and the world is full of those who will exploit that. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. Nothing weakens power faster than surrendering control over your own emotions. To lose composure is to hand the enemy your strategy, your advantage, and often your dignity. Geniuses, however, operate from an entirely different plane. They do not suppress emotion because they are cold. They manage it with precision. They understand that reacting in anger is giving others the map to your weaknesses, that showing fear is a signal to predators, that desperation invites manipulation. Every uncontrolled emotion becomes a lever others can pull to move you, to destabilize you, to predict you. And the genius refuses to become predictable.
They build what can only be described as an inner fortress, walls that are invisible but impenetrable. Insults bounce off, provocations are absorbed, analyzed and cataloged for later advantage. They treat every confrontation as a chessboard, not a boxing ring. Where others strike impulsively, they wait for opportunity. Where others lash out, they pause and measure. Where others let ego dictate decisions, they apply logic with surgical precision. This discipline extends far beyond overt conflict. It is in the quiet moments, the casual insult, the slight, the rumor. Others react immediately. The genius reflects. They let emotions settle, detach from the chaos of the moment, and respond in a way that amplifies their power. Calmness becomes not just a strategy, but a signal to the world. I cannot be shaken. I cannot be predicted. I cannot be owned. And herein lies the terrifying truth of the emotionally disciplined mind. The world does not know how to move them. Negotiators falter, rivals miscalculate, manipulators fail, because the genius has created a vacuum of reaction. They act with deliberate timing while the rest of the world reacts blindly. They have mastered the rare art of being untouchable not through force, but through emotional mastery, a skill so subtle that it often appears supernatural to those who encounter it. A person who cannot be provoked, who does not respond to bait, who turns chaos into calm, becomes impossible to defeat. Others may attack, manipulate, or threaten, but without access to your mind, your center, your control, they are left grasping at shadows. And that, more than any other power, is the hallmark of genius. The intelligent mind does not live in reaction, it lives in command. It is not swayed by insult, inflamed by envy, or shaken by fear. It is steady, deliberate, and ultimately untouchable. 6. Move in shadows until your position is unassailable. Expanded version. Ordinary people hunger for attention. They crave applause, recognition, and the comforting glow of validation. They measure their worth by how loudly the world acknowledges them. The problem is, visibility is a dangerous gamble. Exposure invites judgment, envy, and interference. Every spotlight casts a shadow, and most people stand in it unknowingly, revealing weaknesses for others to exploit. Geniuses understand this better than anyone. Showing too much, too soon, is the fastest route to vulnerability. Machiavelli taught that a ruler's strength lies in concealment. He warned that revealing intentions prematurely invites sabotage, resistance, and betrayal. Geniuses take this wisdom to heart. They build silently, deliberately, in the shadows of the world. Every plan is tested in private. Every skill is honed away from the eyes of the impatient and the envious. They cultivate mastery where no one is watching, patiently accumulating knowledge, influence, and resources until their position is unassailable. This is not idleness, it is strategy. A genius may appear inactive on the surface, but beneath the quiet lies constant motion, calculating outcomes, observing rivals, preparing contingencies, and quietly shifting the invisible levers of power. Their decisions, when revealed, seem sudden, almost magical. But in reality, they are the product of months or years of meticulous preparation, unseen by anyone else. By the time a genius steps into the light, they are already untouchable. They have positioned themselves beyond the reach of envy, competition, or interference. Their rise is seamless, sudden, and unstoppable. To the world, it looks like luck or instinct, but it is neither. It is strategy, executed in absolute silence. When the work is finally revealed, the idea launched, the empire claimed, the plan executed, it is too late for rivals to intervene. Any attempt to challenge them is futile because the foundation beneath them is already ironclad. This is why history marvels at certain figures and whispers, where did they come from? They didn't come from anywhere. They were never absent. They were moving in shadows, learning, planning, calculating, waiting for the moment when no one could undermine what they had built. And when they finally emerge, the world is forced to react to them, not the other way around. In the end, power is rarely gained through spectacle or force. It is won quietly, invisibly, and revealed only when there is nothing left to threaten it. Geniuses understand that the shadows are not hiding them, they are protecting them, giving them time to grow, outsmart, and ultimately dominate the space around them. 7. Become adaptable, unpredictable, and impossible to categorize. Expanded version. The ordinary mind craves certainty. It wants labels, boxes, and definitions. It wants predictability in others because predictability makes the world easier to navigate, easier to control. But genius thrives in the opposite realm. The untouchable mind denies others this comfort. It refuses to be cataloged, analyzed, or anticipated. It operates according to rules that only it fully understands, moving fluidly, invisibly, and without precedent. Machiavelli admired leaders who could shift like shadows, harmless when they needed to appear harmless, dangerous when the situation demanded it, unpredictable when others tried to study their patterns. This is not capriciousness, it is deliberate strategy. To be adaptable is to survive and dominate where rigidity leads to destruction. To be unpredictable is to seize the initiative, forcing others to react blindly, making them vulnerable while you remain untouchable. Geniuses reinvent themselves constantly. They acquire skills that surprise, knowledge that intimidate, and strategies that no one anticipates. Their identity is not a static image, it is a dynamic weapon. Today they are silent observers, cataloging weaknesses, understanding motives, gathering information. Tomorrow, they strike decisively in ways no one could predict. One year they are invisible, almost anonymous, and the next they dominate entire fields, industries, or ideas. This fluidity confounds rivals, disarms competitors, and protects them from manipulation. You cannot fight a person whose patterns are unknowable. You cannot control a mind that refuses to be mapped. This adaptability extends beyond tactics. It is psychological. It is emotional. It is strategic. A genius can play any role, shift any persona, and enter any arena without losing their core power. They remain unpredictable not for spectacle, but for survival and advantage. While others cling to consistency, to predictability, to the safety of known identity, the genius is untethered, free, and invincible. The untouchable mind is not trapped by labels, trends, or expectations. It is not defined by a single domain, a single skill, or a single identity. Instead, it is a moving target, a constantly evolving force that the world cannot limit, categorize, or control. To understand the genius is impossible. To predict them is futile. And because the world cannot anticipate their moves, it reacts. And in that reaction, the genius thrives. True power, in the end, belongs to those who cannot be confined. The genius knows this. They do not merely adapt, they become the unpredictable force that shapes reality around them. These 7 laws are not for everyone. Most people want comfort, they want predictability, they want the illusion of safety. But geniuses, true geniuses, want power over themselves and mastery over their lives. They think deeply, they move strategically, they speak only when it serves a purpose. They operate in shadows until their position is undeniable. And they refuse to let the world dictate their direction, their identity, or their destiny. If you apply these laws, you don't become smarter, you become untouchable. And once the world realizes they can't control you, you stop playing at their level and start operating far above it. If this message resonated with you, don't leave without acting. Subscribe because every week you'll learn another strategy to sharpen your mind and elevate your power. Comment which of the 7 laws you'll master first, and share this video with someone who needs to rise not someday, but now. Remember, the moment you begin thinking like a strategist instead of a spectator, you stop living in the world and start shaping it.